What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down what shorts did, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi did have a pretty solid day, up 1.7%, 25.62 the low, 26.60 the high. So unfortunately, no new 52-week high for SoFi. 54 million shares being traded, 65 is the average. What really did hype up the market today was CPI. Not initially, as you can kind of see, it did actually go down as well as most of the market, and that was pretty much the exact same time I was doing my pre-market video. And for those of you that watch my pre-market videos, I kind of said, hey, the market's going to have a epiphany and start to move higher, because if you look at this data, month over month came in at 0.4, forecast of 0.3, year over year came in at 2.9, 2.8 is the forecast. So a little bit hotter than anticipated. Of course, this is what prompted that push lower. People were reacting based on this data. For those individuals and level-headed individuals that like to look at data, people started to look at this, saw energy went up 0.7. So of course, just basic math, that does mean that the other basket items did go down. So people started to realize, hey, you know what? This data is very good. Started to really push higher, and the rest is history. As far as today though, and even a lot of the other inflationary data points, so PPI yesterday and no different than tomorrow, so the Michigan consumer sentiment is not really going to change this. So for the upcoming September 17th meeting, it is fair to assume that we're going to be getting most likely a 25 basis point cut. The 50 probably will diminish over the next couple trading days back down to 0 unless something crazy and dramatic does happen, but still I think a 25 is a pretty good thing. As far as specific to SoFi, there was no news associated to them today, so it just piggybacked off the market. There was a 144 that did come out after hours. It was a sell from yesterday, and ultimately it looks like this individual, so 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, did receive 154,000 shares gift from an affiliate. So I definitely need to find a lot more friends who have and are willing to give some shares away. But nonetheless, they did receive some shares and then they sold it. So 154,000, and it was done yesterday. This gift did occur on August the 26th, 2025. So a little bit past date, but still nonetheless, from August up until when they did sell a couple days back or yesterday, they made some pretty good money in reality. But nothing really, in my opinion, to panic over or to pretty much do anything. This kind of looks like someone just gave shares and it was more of a swing trade. One thing I do want to bring up, I actually had it planned to bring up yesterday. It was more associated to Robinhood, and that is this. So even though in Robinhood's last earnings, clearly when they said, hey, we are not going to be pursuing banking, as soon as Vlad said that, SoFi's stock price after hours started to instantly go higher, because maybe SoFi investors were somewhat worried about Robinhood getting into banking, but based on the event, it looks like banking is coming soon. Luckily enough, that hasn't really affected SoFi all that much, but we'll just have to wait and see. I think it's going to be a little bit more playful competition between Robinhood and SoFi. I think there's more than enough money out there and potential members and clients, and that both can continue to thrive at very high multiples. And I think in general, a little bit of competition is good. A lot of the brick and mortar banks, they're not really much competition for SoFi. So again, I just wanted to kind of bring this up, more of a FYI. Aside from all that though, looking at the options or shorts, so shorts did increase 289,000 shares. 8.42% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 99.1 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average 0.39, so that's kind of a little bit higher than what it normally has been, but still I think shorts, their times are done for the most part. Probably even a quarter from now, shorts will be at consistently 8% or potentially lower. So again, I think that's kind of a good thing. But yeah, today they did increase, which was rather odd because the market was very hyped up. So maybe they were kind of thinking it was too overdone potentially. Quickly moving over to the options, 46 million in calls, 7.68 in puts. 51% of all the options being done were bullish in nature. Although, if we kind of pop over here just to look at some of the options and unusual activity, and so I did kind of move it to single leg. So these are all the single leg transactions over the last couple of days. So you had roughly about 4 individual ones today, 4 yesterday, and whatever else. But it seems as though all the options being done today were bearish in nature. So you can pause it. I know there's a little bit too much information here, but and on a side note, I did actually screen it where it's actually out of the money. So people and institutions are actually betting on a move on the stock price. So it's not hedging or anything, but it looks as though that there is some bearishness, at least for the next little bit. So next 2 strike price or expiry dates, September the 12th and September the 19th. So something just to essentially bring up. So even though most of the options being done today were bullish in nature, you had some of the bigger players somewhat bearish. So again, this is why I like to read behind the scenes and a lot of the data. Net premiums though, 7.6 million. So a lot of big money continuing to get into SoFi. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be above roughly 27 by tomorrow. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub pretty much 25.50 to 26. So pretty much where it's at right now. With tomorrow being Friday, just take note of this. This is the open interest. So you have 12,000 at that 26, 13,000 at the 26.50, 19,000 at the 27, and then so forth. So potentially maybe that's why shorts did increase a little bit, just to maybe slow SoFi down. They don't want SoFi above 26 or potentially even above 26.50 tomorrow. So you might see shorts wake up a little bit tomorrow. On a side note, these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market. So a lot of big ones, 1.7, 1.1, 3.2, 3.6. So this is kind of just normal stuff now, just to see multiple $1 million transactions. A lot of buying throughout the day, which did help SoFi really move higher. And then dark pool transactions, you did see, as per usual, a lot of good ones, 1.4, 8.5, 3.7, 1.1. And yeah, so one thing I do want to bring up though is that there seems to be this dip that did happen right here. And I've seen some people actually post on the Discord asking what this is. And it wasn't just SoFi. This seems to be across the board. So I don't know if algorithms just did a mass sell across the board during that time frame, or maybe some large institutions such as BlackRock, Vanguard, someone that has a massive reach, they did sell, maybe mitigating some risk. Keep in mind, we're 2 weeks away from the end of Q3, so maybe some rebalancing is already starting to occur. But I've had some comments asking what that push lower was. And honestly, I haven't seen any news to justify that. So again, just do your own due diligence and all the other fun jazz. No new analyst ratings today. So yesterday we did get the most bullish rating that we have had so far, $29, which does represent a 13.64% upside. So good stuff. Hopefully we get more of those down the line, with us closing at 25.96. I swear for the last 3 days, I've been saying 25.96. Honestly, I've been saying that too much, even in my pre-market videos. Watch for 25.96, 25.96. And somehow it seems to keep gravitating towards that point. And it does always fail to really get above it. It always lands like on it or 1 cent above it. So ultimately for tomorrow, just watch for a best case scenario for it to close above 25.96. Flip side, 25.10 is going to be that next strong support. Quickly popping over to here. So you can kind of see based on the market position that there is a lot of willing sellers at that 26 to 26.30. But after that, SoFi could really run up quite significantly. It did close above that 10-day moving average, so momentum is still very much on the table based on the flow. And so you can kind of see that algorithmic trading was rather timid today. Maybe that's why we also did have somewhat lower volume. But I think SoFi is ready to move higher, hopefully with some good data tomorrow that will justify kind of a push higher from here. There wasn't really all that much in articles coming out. In reality, it's just a lot of clickbait kind of stuff, like 2 Cathie Wood stocks to buy and hold for 10 years. So anything, I think Yahoo or was it Motley Fool related, I don't really take seriously whatsoever. But let me know your general thoughts on SoFi. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? Like, what have you been doing behind the scenes? This week, I surprisingly haven't done all that much. Like I mentioned, I did and have been selling some puts. So I think I have April and also April 2026. So I did sell some 1750s for that, and also for December, same 1750 strikes. And so that should bring in a couple $100 in obviously premiums, because I don't see SoFi pulling back. If we do pull back, logically, I would feel it'd be back to that $22, $23 range, unless, again, something dramatic does happen that really spooks the hell out of the market and breaks it below that 50-day moving average, which if that does happen, then you could see a little bit more of a further push lower. But I think all in all, SoFi's technicals are pretty good. Stochastic RSI, on a side note, is at roughly 38, so it is somewhat neutral-ish slash a little bit overdone, and that's just because of the crazy volatility over the last couple of days. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I do give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Even a lot of the ones I've been watching right here. Open Door is pulling back after hours, but yesterday I did post when it was at $8, saying it was going to go to $10.47. And even prior to that, when it was at like, well, I think $3.50, I signaled that $8 was a good exit for that. SNPS ran up 13% when it was at $3.80 yesterday, signaled that was a buy. Adobe signaled that was a buy for their earnings. Not as much as I would have anticipated. It's up 3%, but definitely worthwhile to pop over to the Patreon. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.